A man is found floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He hasn't eaten a real meal in over a year. His boat is held together with rope and prayer. And the strangest part, he's still alive. His skin is sunburned to leather. His lips are cracked white. And when rescuers ask him how long he's been out here, his answer makes their jaws drop. 438 days. That's not a typo. That's over 14 months. Longer than most people's entire gym memberships actually get used. He drifted across an ocean wider than entire continents, with no engine, no food stores, and no idea if anyone was even looking for him. This is the true story of the ocean that tried to erase a man, and the impossible year he refused to disappear. Researchers and rescue officials who later studied this case agree on one thing: this kind of survival shouldn't have been possible. So let's rewind to where it all began. Our castaway was a fisherman by trade, the kind of guy who knew the ocean the way most of us know our own kitchen. His routine was simple: head out, drop the lines, come back with the catch in a few days. He'd done it more times than he could count, but on one particular morning, something felt different. The sky had that strange, heavy color that old sailors learned to fear. Most sailors would have stayed home, but he had a delivery to make, a boat to fuel, and bills that didn't care about the weather. He grabbed a young deckhand to join him, a friend who trusted him completely. Neither of them knew this trip would never end the normal way. Their boat was barely larger than a parking space. No cabin, no proper bed, just an open hull, a small motor, and a cooler for the catch. They puttered out past the harbor, nets ready, expecting just another ordinary few days at work. Then, without warning, the wind shifted hard. The gentle swells they knew turned into something else entirely. Within minutes, the ocean that had fed this man his entire life turned into the thing trying to swallow him whole. They fought the storm through the night, paddling and steering by feel alone, hoping to reach land before the sun came up. By morning, exhausted but alive, they could actually see the outline of distant hills. Home was finally close, or so they thought. Then their engine made a sound no boat owner ever wants to hear. A cough, a sputter, and silence. No spare parts, no tools that could fix it. And here's the detail that should worry you. There were no paddles either. Their only real lifeline was a small radio. He grabbed it immediately and called for help, giving their last known position. But before rescue could even leave the dock, the radio's battery died completely. Just like that, their only connection to the world went dark. And the wind wasn't done with them yet. Instead of pushing them toward shore, it was now dragging them backward into open ocean. Back on shore, a search team was launched within hours. But the ocean had already swallowed their trail. 5 days later, with no sign of the boat and no further radio contact, the official search was called off. Meanwhile, hundreds of kilometers away, 2 men were still very much alive, drifting deeper into nowhere. Their food ran out faster than expected. The cooler that once held fresh catch was now completely empty. So they did the only thing left. They tried catching fish with their bare hands, leaning over the edge for hours at a time. Drinking water became their biggest daily puzzle, solved with whatever floated by, including stray plastic bottles from who knows where. When rain did come, it felt like a holiday. When it didn't, they were forced into choices most of us would never want to imagine. By the 4th month, their bodies had changed entirely. Thinner, weaker, but somehow still breathing. Researchers who later reviewed cases like this say the body can survive far longer without food than most people assume, as long as water keeps coming. But water alone wasn't enough, and that's when they made a decision that still makes people uncomfortable to talk about. With no clean water for days, they turned to anything that could keep their bodies from completely shutting down, including substances no one would choose by choice. As if the body wasn't being tested enough, the mind started fighting its own battle. Hope is a strange thing. It can keep you alive, and it can also be the first thing to disappear. Around the 4-month mark, his friend's strength gave out entirely. He stopped eating. He stopped speaking. And not long after, he was gone. For weeks, he was utterly alone, with nothing but open water in every direction. And loneliness at that scale does something to a person's mind. One afternoon, his eyes caught something on the horizon that made his heart pound. A massive cargo ship, closer than anything he'd seen in months. He screamed until his throat burned, but the wind carried his voice the wrong way, and the ship sailed on, completely unaware. That single moment taught him something important, though. Ships did pass through these waters. He just needed to survive long enough to be seen by the right one. Historians studying maritime survival stories note that ocean currents in this region tend to move in long, predictable loops, something that may have quietly worked in his favor without him even realizing it. Months kept passing. He marked each sunrise with a small scratch on the side of the boat, refusing to lose count of how long he'd endured. By month 10, his boat had drifted thousands of kilometers from where it started, deep into territory no rescue team had ever searched. And then, after more than a year adrift, he noticed something strange floating near the boat. Coconuts. Out here, that could only mean one thing. Squinting against the sun, he spotted it. A faint shape on the horizon that wasn't water, wasn't sky, and definitely wasn't his imagination this time. After more than 400 days of nothing but ocean, land was finally, unmistakably, real. He beached the boat, legs barely able to hold him, and stumbled forward onto solid ground for the first time in over a year. Following the shoreline, he eventually found a small dwelling and knocked weakly on the door, unsure if anyone would even answer. When the door opened, the look on the stranger's face said it all. Nobody expected to see a half-starved man standing there after over 400 days missing. Word spread fast. Within hours, local authorities arrived to hear a story so unbelievable that some of them assumed he was simply confused. So he asked them to make one phone call to the man who had hired him for that very last fishing trip. That single call confirmed everything. Yes, this man had worked for him, and yes, he had vanished into the ocean over a year earlier, presumed lost forever. What followed wasn't just celebration. There were difficult questions, paperwork, and a legal process most people never expect to deal with after surviving the unsurvivable. Even after everything, there were people who doubted his story entirely, including some who suggested his missing friend's fate was far darker than simple illness. In time, the truth held up, the suspicions faded, and his account became one of the most studied survival stories of the modern era. His ordeal still stands as one of the longest verified solo survival drifts ever recorded, a record almost nobody actually wants to try breaking. So here's the real question worth sitting with. If you were given nothing but a small boat, open ocean, and uncertain odds, would your will to survive outlast the silence? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories the world somehow forgot to tell properly.